back to Skynyrd Shorts here on our favorite YouTube channel. Joe, did you survive the last episode?
I tell you what, I lost a little sleep over that episode.
Joe told me that he couldn't sleep the night before we recorded that episode because...
It just flip-flops all the time. My favorites change by the second.
And so since then, I've thought of 10 other songs that should have been in the top 5, but it doesn't matter. We'll do a top 5 on something different some other time. But today's a pretty cool episode. I'm looking forward to this for a long time.
We're going to talk about ZZ Top today and the history that, Dusty Hill and Billy Gibbons have brought to us, and Frank Beard.
So we might be related because in our top 5, each of us had a ZZ Top song, a 38 Special song, and a Lynyrd Skynyrd song.
Totally by accident.
We might be related. I don't know.
But I've listened to all the albums he's ever bought, so.
Yeah. So, about ZZ Top. It's a band. Billy Gibbons was the famous guy at first. He had a band called Moving Sidewalks in
I remember that.
Houston, I think, in like the late 60s. And one cool thing about him is that there is a video of Jimi Hendrix, the guitarist, on the Dick Cavett show. And Dick Cavett asked him something about, are there any guitarists you listen to? And Jimi Hendrix said, there's this young guy named Billy Gibbons that you really need to hear. That's pretty cool, right?
Well, and you know what? Jimi Hendrix was broad-minded as well. He was paying attention to all the music scenes. He had recordings.
No, everybody was paying attention to him.
Well, that's true too. He had his own life too.
We should do a Jimi Hendrix.
He carried a recorder around with Dwayne Allman's playing on it. So, this guy was experienced for sure.
Are you experienced? Anyway, so he had Moving Sidewalks. That band kind of defuncted in. And he started ZZ Top. Actually, in '69, it was him and 2 other guys. I can't remember their names right now. I'm sure they're nice guys if you're watching. But quickly in 1970, they got Dusty Hill and Frank Beard. And what's cool about it is that, like, I have some friends in West Tennessee that I've met, in the later life. We're the same age, and we all listened to the same radio station growing up. That was FM 104 in Jackson, WKIR out of Jackson. They were the album-oriented rock, so we all liked the same music. Actually, like me and Lynyrd are like that, right? We listen to the same music, so it's kind of cool. And these 3 guys were the same way in the Houston or Texas. In Texas, they listened to the illegal radio stations from across the border in Mexico, the X stations, right?
Can you imagine how bluesy this channel was to start with?
Well, it had a lot of stuff that you couldn't hear on, because that time it was AM pop radio, right? That's all you could really hear. And then when the X started, they're bringing in jazz and blues and, oh my God, black music and, things that you shouldn't hear on traditional stuff, right? And so these guys were digging all this and they're teenagers and stuff. And it's kind of like when the Beatles were hearing this, when they were in England, they couldn't stay away from the blues, right? The Rolling Stones, they couldn't stay away from that. So these guys listened to the X, right? I guess Wolfman Jack was on one of those stations. And anyway, I saw a funny story where Dusty Hill was talking about, he's a kid, right? Like 14, and they get together for sleepovers and everybody bring their records. And like, he bring Muddy Waters in there. And he go, yeah, and they go, what the hell? Oh my God, it's a black guy. And he go, man, I just saw everybody had them kind of records, but I was the only one, right? So that's pretty cool. But when they got together, they all listened to the same stuff. And so it immediately had a bond, right? And they wanted to do that kind of music.
And we're talking about real influencers at that day. B.B. King, Elvis, the Beatles. They were really influenced. And by the X, the radio, think about the Spanish guitar work and stuff that they were hearing from the Spanish stars as well.
Oh yeah, that's the thing. It was a potpourri of everything that you couldn't hear on American radio on the X. And a lot of it's banned, So, but anyway, it made them. They started the band. They started having success. Really, I guess I'm really thinking about what the first real thing that I heard from them was. Was it Tres Hombres? Their 3rd record, I think. Anyway, early on they had some songs like Jesus, Waiting on the Bus, Jesus Left Chicago, LaGrange, which, who doesn't love LaGrange?
Classic.
I mean, that is about the best little whorehouse in Texas, which closed in 1973, regretfully, I guess.
But Billy Gibbons at his best on that song. I mean,
He's on his best all the time. I pretty
well,
much.
I
think.
know, but I'm saying it's the thing you think about it. You think about ZZ Top. You think about LaGrange, and Billy Gibbons was strong influence in his songs.
Yeah, I think that's the first time that I really, really. Of course, I thought that Waiting on the Bus, Jesus Left Chicago, the segues right into it. It's just so cool. You almost think it's one song, and just the guitar playing is just so. I don't know. Their style of blues is not traditional. There's a Texas thing to it, And when there's a weirdness actually, I think, to ZZ Top, don't you think?
Well, it could have been. We can't confuse it for anything else. I almost said grunge earlier. Like they were early grunge, but you didn't think about that. But they had their own ways, and a lot of grunge, they have their own ways, and they have their own music and their own sound.
Yeah, it was not there. They had a very, very unique sound, and early on, during the '70s anyway, Dusty Hill's vocals were really, to me, the standout. I was disappointed, I guess, after that when pretty much Billy Gibbons took over all the vocals. But the Dusty Hill songs, they were some of my favorites.
Very, very, very strong vocals.
Yeah, I mean, Tush. Dusty Hill.
And on stage, their presence, their workmanship together. The drummer, the bass player, the guitarist, they all just work perfectly together.
Yeah, Frank Beard, quite a drummer. Interestingly enough, Frank Beard's the only guy without a beard, which I always thought was kind of ironic. Kind of like an Alanis Morissette song. Anyway, so Fandango was huge, and the tour was huge. They called it like the Great American Texas Roadhouse Tour or something like. I forget what it was, but they were filling up stadiums. I know at the Liberty Bowl in Memphis, that whole fall, the pot plants were growing all around the football field. From the ZZ Top show. But they did that tour, and then right after that, I guess. They came back in '79. This is when the beard started, right? The big long beards. And El Loco was the first bearded record, let's call it that. But on El Loco, gee whiz, what was that? Cheap Sunglasses?
Is that or Digueyo? Which one was that?
Digueyo. You're right. I was wrong. Digueyo. You're exactly. Way to step in there and save the show, man. Digueyo. I thought it was a great record.
That's a very good record, very good album. Several songs on it that are worth listening to anytime you want.
Oh, I know. What was that? Where? Don't mess me up. Is that where Pearl Necklace was?
Now I don't remember. Was that a little older than
you? Remember Pearl Necklace?
I remember the song. I just don't know which album it was off of.
So we're adolescents, right? And these guys are, and of course, what did Eddie Van Halen say? Rock and roll was nothing more than guys wanting to have sex with girls. There's a lot of truth to that. And in ZZ Top, man, there's a lot of truth to that. We talked about LaGrange. We talked about Tush, which is clearly, but the Tube Snake Boogie.
Tube Snake Boogie gets a little bit in depth there.
Pearl Necklace. It was just initially you think, well, it could be about an expensive piece of jewelry, but the last verse he says, it don't cost that much. Okay, I figured it out now, right?
I had to have somebody explain it to me when I'm, 12, 13 years old.
That was probably me.
I think somebody explained it to me. So, to make sure I understood the true meaning.
Yeah, there was a legend that this was a fetish of Billy Gibbons. That was the urban legend. Billy, if it's true, I don't know, but it's still kind of cool. But that was cool to us, and guys, like I said in the last episode, Thunderbird was one of my favorite songs, just because of the feel that it had, the emotion, that, I don't know, Driving While Blind. Honest to God, that's what we did. We called it boozing and cruising. That's what you did.
But they had these times in Texas the same as we did everywhere else.
Now in Texas, they drove without lights, without headlights.
It may have been different there.
We had our headlights on. Okay, we might not could see very well, but we had our headlights on. We were throwing beer bottles in mailboxes, but no, I hope that statute of limitations is over on that. But anyway, so then we talked about how in '81 they come back, they got the beards, and they're starting to get a little weird, and they're being influenced by like new wave and electronic music and some different things. And unlike a lot of people who are honest to their genre, Billy Gibbons was always interested in learning and growing, and
stepping up his game.
Yeah, he continued to be influenced by the whole big world, and as it turned out, Eliminator was the antithesis, the perfect storm for that.
Well, how many people didn't grow with the changes and were left behind? And he didn't get left behind.
Right, Atlanta Rhythm Section left behind.
Left behind.
I know, and it's true. They picked up on something, and are there any more unlikely MTV stars than ZZ Top?
The unlikeliest of unlikely.
I mean, how does that even happen? How it happens is, on Eliminator, I think it's true, there's no drums. It's all drum machines on the record. Frank Beard did not play on the record at all. Do you believe that?
I've heard that. I don't know that's
all
true.
Drum machines. And a lot of these electronic bands were then influenced by ZZ Top. I saw like Kraftwerk, a bunch of other people now say, boy, ZZ Top, Eliminator, big influence. Because they were taking this technology and they were moving with it, And, when I saw them on the Eliminator tour, I didn't like Frank Beard playing the electric drums. Not a real drum kit to me. That would really kind of turn me around. But, how could you not love the music, right?
Great music.
Now, what was the show we saw them with where they had the beer controversy?
That was when the Black Crowes opened up for them. Was that Afterburner Tour? I think we saw them at Afterburner Tour, I believe.
Man, I got this ticket stub here. We could go through my ticket book and figure it out. But is that what it was? And what was the controversy?
Well, Chris Robinson was getting a little vocal, and he was probably smoking too much or drinking too much. And he was like, these guys were getting heavy sponsorship from Schlitz or whoever it was.
It was Miller. I think it was Miller.
Miller or Schlitz, and he was giving crap because, hey, and he thought they were faking.
Lip syncing.
And drum machines and stuff. I don't know how it all went down, but Chris Robinson he's a very outspoken performer.
Yeah, he says what's on his mind, and as a result, they got kicked off the tour. So, but you're right, they were I remember there were banners back on the side of the stage and everything.
They were being, it was like they had NASCAR stickers on their jackets. They were getting paid, and everybody wants to get paid at that time, right?
Yeah.
Even musicians went through a tough time not getting paid.
That's so funny.
Let's have somebody front some money out, some guaranteed money.
I know there are people who are criticizing the former members Lynyrd Skynyrd continue to use that member to get paid, but damn, so many of us musicians never got paid. It's kind of good to see somebody make money and not die broke poor. It's like Picasso did or Rembrandt or somebody. Anyway, so it's pretty cool. So they continued through the 80s. And they had, what was the song? My Head's in Mississippi song. Oh, which record was that?
Oh, you know what? Maybe that's the tour I went to.
91.
You remember it? I think it was My Head's in Mississippi. I think that's that's a tour we went to in the station wagon that time.
The brown station wagon?
we followed a fire truck out of the parking lot. Those are good old days.
Oh my God.
We were driving blind most of the time.
Yeah, I don't remember a lot of that, but yeah, you're probably right. You're probably right. That's interesting. It's I guess Dusty Hill died last year.
It's what, 72?
Yeah. And he had been ill for a little bit. But they had a couple other records. They did some songs. I think in 2012 they came out with that remake of a rap song, Dallas Rapper or whatever. I've heard it. Must have got to.
Yeah, must have got to pay. I don't know.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. I mean, I just appreciate the fact that Billy Gibbons and ZZ Top always tried to grow and progress. They didn't just stay. Was it AC/DC? Angus Young had an interview where this college reporter was being really smart with Angus Young. She goes, "So basically, Angus, y'all have made the same record 13 times." Being all cool, right? He goes, "No, wait a minute. We've made 14 records." Right?
I remember that.
Which is cool because they had this certain sound and they just, repeat.
They were just,
Rinse, repeat.
Yeah.
But not so with ZZ Top. I mean, yeah, they're rooting the blues but when you look at progression from LaGrange just to Eliminator, that's a 10-year span.
When we went to the 80s, they were very brave to make the move to the electronic stuff. And they weren't afraid to, capitalize on it.
How many Southern rock bands were stars on MTV?
Not that many.
How many? My gosh, no. There was a lot more Culture Club stuff on there than there was ZZ Top.
But ZZ Top tried to break through
They did.
with with the Ford, the chop top Ford and the ZZ stripes, and a little bit of, we're here, we're not here, and it played very well. And you could always see them MTV. They were a regular.
Well, they won Video of the Year.
They were a regular fixture on MTV.
And it was great music.
And how would we do without Eliminator? I mean, I just told you one of my favorite songs, and every song off that is probably one of my favorite songs.
I wasn't a TV dinner guy.
That was way down. That
Afterburner?
It was Afterburner Recycler or something. Whatever. When
That was a
the
little
space
much for me.
shuttles on them, it was a little bit far away, but they had fun doing it.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's right. I had the feeling they always had fun.
I think they had fun, and Billy Gibbons. You watch Daryl's House on YouTube?
Yeah.
He's on Daryl's House in one episode.
Great. That's a great show.
That is a very good episode. Talks about how his guitar strings and stuff changed from, I think, B.B. King.
Yeah.
Or another blues artist was talking about the guitar string weights. And
The Cheap Trick one was very good too, and
well,
Joe Walsh is good. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
Daryl's House is great.
Yeah, Nick Lowe was good on that show. Anyway, but where I forget. Oh, I saw Billy Gibbons one time at Hickory Ridge Mall. This is like 1982 when he was living in Memphis. Maybe it was 84 or 5. I don't know what year it was. Billy lived in Memphis, and he was with his girlfriend at Hickory Ridge Mall at Ganto's, which is a very high price, expensive women's store. And so we saw him in there. It's obviously Billy Gibbons. Walked in, and it was kind of like acting like we were looking and stuff. We were actually looking at Billy Gibbons. His girlfriend found a sweater she liked, and it was like $80 sweater, and they had a lot of pretty expensive. Billy said, "Get her 12 of them." I thought that's just cool. Get her 12 of them. So anyway, that's the kind of guy he was. We could talk about ZZ Top more and get in more detail, more depth, and we could actually get the records out and tell you what song comes from what. I'm no ZZ Top expert. I'm a ZZ Top lover. I feel like I'm a better Lynyrd Skynyrd expert, but
We're learning every day.
But share your ZZ Top stories. If you ever had any interaction, if you were at any of those shows with the Black Crowes, your thoughts on how they transitioned into electronic stuff and how they changed and grew. Let us know, because we're big ZZ Top fans. So,
I tell you who turned me on to ZZ Top. Just Got Paid in the early songs and the early albums. Håkan Youthberg from Sweden. He was over here, the Swedish exchange student, and I was 10th grade maybe, and he turned us on to this stuff, and we have never looked back.
wait a minute, a dude from Sweden?
Coolest dude you'll ever meet.
Is he on our YouTube channel? I mean, is he a subscriber?
Well, he needs to be, because I forward him stuff.
Sweden. Hey, jump on here, man. We need you.
Håkan's a great guy.
That's cool. That's very cool. So, music worldwide, music universal, we know that. It's the heartbeat of my life. It's the soundtrack of my life. So, anyway, anything else you want to talk about?
I think we
Dang it, man. It's fun.
tell you what we know and what we learn and what we enjoy.
That was fun. I enjoyed that. So just give me some Tush, man. Give me some Tush. I ain't asking for much. All right. I guess we'll see you next time. This was episode 35. So thank you all for joining in. Please subscribe. Please share it with your friends. Anybody who loves ZZ Top or Southern rock and roll, we're going to keep branching out and get a little bit broader.
Rest in paradise, Dusty Hill.
And having more fun. We're going to have more fun. So let us know what you think. You done?
I'm done.
Until next time on our favorite YouTube channel, we'll see you then.